Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into a chilling and mysterious movie called Cold Skin 2017, a sci-fi horror story that mixes isolation, survival, and some very unexpected twists. Our story begins in the year 1914. A young man, whose name we never learn, is traveling across the vast ocean. He's leaving behind his old life, running away from society, and searching for peace, solitude, and maybe a chance to start over. His destination? A remote island in the Antarctic Circle, a place cut off from the rest of the world, where only the crashing waves and the endless sky keep you company. When the ship finally drops him off, the silence is overwhelming, but he's not supposed to be alone. According to his orders, one man already lives here, a weather official who's been stationed on this island for years. The plan is simple. The newcomer will take over the post, record the weather, and live in isolation for the next 12 months. Easy, right? But from the moment he steps onto the rocky shore, something feels wrong. The island looks lifeless, cold, and hostile. The small wooden house of the previous official is locked tight, almost abandoned. There are no signs of welcome, no greetings, no signs of life at all. And then he sees it, a towering lighthouse standing over the cliffs, its windows glowing faintly. That's where the other man must be, so he climbs up to meet him. Inside the lighthouse, he comes face to face with Gruner, a rough, unkempt, and almost savage-looking man who barely speaks. Gruner doesn't offer a handshake, doesn't welcome him, doesn't even look happy to see him. Instead, he gives off the feeling that he wants this newcomer to leave immediately. But our young protagonist doesn't back down. This is his assignment, his fresh start. Little does he know, this island hides a terrifying secret, a secret that will turn his peaceful year into a nightmare beyond imagination. As night falls on the island, the silence becomes unbearable. The young man tries to settle into his small cabin, unpacking his belongings, setting up his books and journals, convincing himself this will be a peaceful year. But something about this place just doesn't feel right. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, he hears it. A strange noise outside, not the wind, not the sea, something else. Curious and cautious, he steps out into the darkness, and then he sees them. Shadows moving by the shore, figures crawling, slithering, almost human, but not quite. Their glowing eyes cut through the night, and their wet, slimy skin reflects the moonlight. Before he can make sense of it, chaos erupts. The creatures, dozens of them, attack the island, screaming and clawing their way toward his cabin. Panicked, he runs for cover. He has no weapons, no idea what's happening. Just when he thinks it's over, he sees the distant lighthouse beam cutting through the night. Inside, Gruner is ready. Armed with rifles, grenades, and traps, the lighthouse transforms into a fortress. He fights off the monsters with brutal force, showing no mercy. Explosions, gunfire, and blood light up the darkness as Gruner slaughters the creatures one by one. From the young man's hiding place, he watches in shock. These aren't animals, they look disturbingly human, but Gruner doesn't hesitate for even a second. For him, this is routine. By sunrise, the battlefield is littered with dead sea creatures. The ocean waves pull their bodies back into the depths. And now, the young man realizes the horrifying truth. This island is not deserted. Every single night, they come. And the only thing keeping him alive is that cold, merciless man inside the lighthouse. Days pass on the lonely island, but the young man can't shake what he saw. Those creatures, their faces, their movements, they weren't mindless beasts. They looked almost human. Determined to understand more, he decides to confront Gruner. But the lighthouse keeper isn't exactly welcoming. Gruner is rough, violent, and treats the creatures like nothing more than pests. To him, they deserve nothing but bullets and fire. But one night, while the young man explores near the lighthouse, he makes a shocking discovery. There's one of the creatures alive, not just alive, living inside the lighthouse with Gruner. She's different from the others, smaller, gentler, with glowing blue eyes and smooth amphibian skin. And Gruner? He keeps her like a pet, or maybe something far worse. The young man is horrified, not only at the woman's existence, but also at how Gruner treats her. It's cruel, degrading, and disturbing. Suddenly, everything changes. The nightly attacks no longer feel random. It's not just monsters swarming the lighthouse. It's a war between these sea people and Gruner, and the woman inside, she's the key. The young man realizes the creatures aren't attacking for fun. They're coming for her, and so he's left with a terrible choice. Should he help Gruner fight them off every night? Or should he see these creatures for what they might really be? An intelligent race defending one of their own. For the first time, he feels torn. Maybe the real monster isn't out in the ocean. Maybe it's inside the lighthouse with him. Night falls again on the island, and with it, terror returns. The creatures emerge from the sea in swarms, shrieking, clawing, climbing up the rocks toward the lighthouse. Inside, the young man and Gruner prepare for battle. Rifles loaded, traps set. But no matter how many bullets they fire, more keep coming. The walls shake, the windows rattle, the screams pierce the night. The young man is trembling. Fear is eating him alive. These aren't just monsters anymore. They're families, tribes, fighting for one of their own. And yet, every shot he takes means another life has ended. Gruner, however, feels nothing. He laughs as he kills, roaring with hatred, feeding off the chaos. To him, this is not survival, it's domination. Hours later, silence. Corpses scatter the shore. The young man steps outside and looks at the battlefield. It's a massacre, and through the smoke, he sees her, the female sea creature. She doesn't flee. Instead, she crawls close to him, touching his burned hand gently, as if trying to heal him. For the first time since arriving, he feels something other than fear. Compassion, connection, maybe even trust. But Gruner notices the bond forming. His face twists in rage. He warns the young man, don't trust her. She's no different. She's just bait. And when you're weak, she'll kill you like the rest. Yet deep down, the young man isn't so sure anymore. He can see it in her eyes. Intelligence, pain, maybe even love. Still, the truth remains. Another night is coming, and the attacks will only grow stronger. The war between men and creatures rages on, but now, the battlefield shifts inside the lighthouse itself. One morning, the young man is startled awake, not by screams, not by gunfire, but by a strange sensation. The female sea creature is there, softly licking his wounds, tending to his burns as if she's trying to heal him. Her touch is gentle, almost human. For the first time, he wonders, are they really the monsters here? But Gruner sees her differently. To him, she's nothing but a slave, a pet, a tool to use and abuse. That night, the young man overhears horrifying sounds, Gruner forcing himself on the creature. Disgusted, filled with guilt, he turns away. Yet he knows he can't stay silent forever. The next evening, another attack begins. Gruner shouts commands, firing wildly, while the young man hesitates. He's not just afraid anymore, he's conflicted. Every creature he shoots could be her kin. Every kill, another piece of her soul shattered. The young man falters, trembling in the chaos. Gruner notices and snaps. Furious, he locks the young man outside on the balcony as punishment. Left alone, surrounded by clawing hands and snarling faces, the young man fights desperately for his life. Bloodied and broken, he survives till dawn, barely. When Gruner finds him alive, he doesn't look proud. He looks disappointed, almost angry that the young man endured. From then on, the two fall into a grim routine. Days spent gathering supplies, nights fighting wave after wave of attacks. But beneath the surface, something dangerous is growing, distrust between them. And in the middle of it all, the silent sea creature caught between two worlds. Nights grow longer, attacks grow fiercer, and sanity begins to crumble inside the lighthouse. The young man now spends his days fetching water, repairing weapons, and keeping himself busy, anything to stay away from Gruner's madness. Gruner, meanwhile, sharpens his hatred like a blade, always muttering about wiping the creatures off the face of the earth. But the young man's heart is shifting. He starts watching the female creature more closely. She isn't violent. She isn't hateful. She's curious, gentle, different. One day, as she eats a candle by mistake, he laughs softly. For the first time in months, he feels something human again. Still, Gruner warns him, "Don't be fooled. She's one of them. Evil hides behind silence." Later, Gruner drags the young man up to the very top of the lighthouse. The endless ocean stretches before them, waves crashing against the rocks. Gruner asks why he would ever return to civilization when here he is master of his own destiny. But the young man simply replies, "When the next ship comes, I'll leave." That night, the horn blows. Another attack. The sky turns red as Gruner fires a flare, signaling the start of battle. The swarm comes. The lighthouse shakes under the assault. Gruner shoots with cold precision, but the young man's nerves betray him. He backs away, panic flooding his veins, until he collapses unconscious, leaving Gruner to fight alone. When dawn arrives, Gruner is enraged. He mocks the young man, calls him weak, tells him he's a burden. But behind the insults hides something darker: fear. Gruner knows that each night, the swarm grows bolder, stronger, and one day, the lighthouse will fall. Survival makes monsters of men, and the line between human and beast grows thinner every night. After the failed battle, tension between Gruner and the young man snaps like a frayed rope. Gruner no longer hides his cruelty. He beats the sea creature when she disobeys, treats her like an animal, a servant, a prisoner. The young man can barely stomach it, his disgust for Gruner growing with each passing day. But his fascination with the creature only deepens. In a rare, quiet moment, he reaches out and touches her cold, scaled skin. Instead of pulling away, she lets him. In that fragile silence, he gives her a name: Anaris. For him, she's no longer a monster. She's a bridge between worlds. One night, the swarm attacks harder than ever before. Gruner, fueled by rage, fires relentlessly, screaming at the creatures. But the young man hesitates, torn between killing them and protecting the one he secretly admires. He watches Anaris, sees her mourn her kin as they die outside. His heart breaks. Every bullet feels like a betrayal. Still, they fight. Still, they survive. But the young man realizes something terrifying. Gruner doesn't just want to defend the lighthouse. He wants to exterminate every last creature, no matter the cost. That night, while patching wounds, the young man dares to challenge him. What if they're not what you think? What if they're more than monsters? Gruner glares, his eyes filled with madness. They are beasts, and beasts must die. The young man falls silent. But in his heart, a rebellion begins to burn. The island keeps its secrets, but every secret eventually claws its way to the surface. Days pass in uneasy silence. The young man avoids Gruner, finding comfort only in Anaris's quiet presence. He studies her movements, her gestures, her strange beauty. The more he learns, the more he's convinced. These creatures are not mindless beasts. They are something far more complex. Gruner, on the other hand, grows colder, more unhinged. His obsession is no longer just survival, it's dominance. He sharpens his weapons, muttering that one day they will slaughter every creature until none remain. But fate delivers a revelation. While exploring the remains of his old burned cabin, the young man finds a cracked mirror. He barely recognizes himself, his beard grown wild, his eyes hardened by fear. He trims it away, desperate to feel human again, to remember who he once was. On his way back, he stumbles upon something haunting: the massive skeleton of a whale, bleached white by the sun. To him, it's a reminder of how even giants can fall. And perhaps so can the lighthouse. That night, something changes. There is no attack. The silence is almost worse than the war. And when the next battle finally comes, the young man sees the creatures differently. He notices necklaces, patterns, signs of culture, signs of intelligence. They are not just animals. Meanwhile, Gruner shows him something shocking, a photograph, a wedding photo, worn and faded, with the words, "Love, love, love," scrawled on the back. The young man realizes with horror, Gruner was once the very meteorologist he was sent to replace, the man who supposedly died. Gruner isn't just mad, he's a broken soul, consumed by hate, running from his own past. The past cannot be buried. On this cursed island, it always returns, with blood. The young man pieces it together, the diary, the photo, the lies. Gruner isn't just cruel, he's the ghost of the meteorologist before him. He never left, never escaped. He surrendered himself to madness, letting the island consume him. But Anaris and her kin have not surrendered. One morning, the young man steps onto the beach and sees them waiting, not in rage, not in attack, but in silence. Anaris stands among them, her gaze steady, her presence commanding. It feels like a truce, a plea for peace. For the first time, he dares to believe the cycle of blood could end. Gruner, of course, destroys it. He storms out, snarling, screaming that no one leaves, that Anaris belongs to him. The young man begs him to stop, but it's too late. In blind fury, Gruner fires a flare gun straight into a young sea creature, killing it instantly. The beach explodes with cries of anguish. Anaris looks at the young man with horror, with betrayal. In her eyes, he sees a doubt. Is he different from Gruner or just the same? The creatures retreat, mourning their dead, but the damage is done. The chance at peace has been burned away by fire and blood. That night, the young man confronts Gruner. Their rage boils over, and a brutal fight erupts inside the lighthouse. Fists, knives, fury. Each blow is the clash of two worlds. Finally, the young man gains the upper hand, pressing a blade to Gruner's throat. But then, he hesitates. He calls Gruner by his real name. He reminds him of what he once was. "You're not a murderer." Not yet. For a moment, Gruner falters. He drops the axe, whispering the same words scrawled on his wedding photo. "Love, love, love." The island has taken everything. Sanity, peace, love. Now, it demands its final sacrifice. Gruner walks out into the night, muttering those broken words. Love, love, love. But the creatures are waiting. Dozens of them surrounding the lighthouse, Anaris among them. She does not scream, she does not plead. She only watches as her kin descend on Gruner. The old man does not fight back, he doesn't run. He lets them tear him apart under the cold starlight, his final song drowned out by the sea's fury. The young man watches from above, paralyzed. Hate has devoured Gruner, and now he is gone. Months pass. Silence settles on the island, until one day a ship appears on the horizon. The young man's replacement has come. The captain steps onto shore and greets him with a mistake. "Gruner?" The young man does not correct him. He simply nods, stepping into the role, as if the island has claimed him too. Now he is the new Gruner, guardian of the lighthouse, prisoner of the rocks. He stares into the ocean, where Anaris slips back into the waves, free at last. She leaves him behind, bound to the island's curse. The cycle begins again. Another man lost, another soul consumed. In the end, Cold Skin is not just a battle against monsters. It is a story about hate, about love, and how isolation can turn men into the very beasts they fear. On this island, the real horror was never in the sea. It was in the human heart. Subscribe for more movie recaps. And remember, sometimes the monsters outside are nothing compared to the monsters within.